Today we get hands-on with a new Oris. It's one of their latest releases. To be honest, when I first saw this watch in pictures and videos, I wasn't entirely sure that I loved it until I got it hands-on. This is their latest big crown with the caliber 113, a full calendar and 10 days of power reserve. This is a watch that you only have to wind 3 times a month. So let's flip the camera and take a look at one of the best releases from Oris of 2025, the Big Crown Caliber 113. Well, this is a colorful watch, so if you can get past that, if you like the colors on this watch, you're gonna really love this watch. This is really cool. I've worn this for a day or two, really fallen in love with it. This is the Caliber 113, so this is the debut of this caliber. They had the 111, I believe that was just small seconds with a power reserve, and then they had the 112, which I believe was the same thing, so you're getting the small seconds at the 9 o'clock, the power reserve at the 3 o'clock. It was a little bit larger than the power reserve on this watch. And then at the 12 o'clock, you had a second time zone and a moon phase. They are making these more complicated as they go along. So this is, I guess, the next step. This is a 52-week calendar. You have a large hand with a red tip, or it's more of like a pink tip that matches those subdials. That is the 52-week pointer. So basically the month pointer, because it points to the month. And then right below the 12 o'clock position, above the hand stack, you have the day, and then of course you have the date at the 6 o'clock position. At the 9 o'clock position you have the running seconds, and at the 3 o'clock position you have the power reserve. Now the power reserve is very special on this watch and was always larger on previous models. However, with good reason, because you're getting 10 days of power reserve, they have made it smaller on this watch. It still says 10 days, but I think they're doing that to make it more symmetric. So it's definitely a little bit more balanced. The dial is more balanced if you have 2 sub-registers that are exactly the same. And I think this looks really good. And I love that they used a green dial with pink sub-dials. It feels so good in hand, and the dial isn't like a bright color. It's not like a bright pink. It's like a deep reddish pink. And then the dial is sort of a muted green. It really works well. I'm sure that they're going to come out with a standard version. I think that this looks really good. It's kind of making a statement for the first version of this 113. I think it looks fantastic. You have a very domed, slightly boxed sapphire crystal. You have a flat bezel on here that has a little bit of a ridge. That is polished on both sides. And then you have it around 43 millimeter case. I measured 42.9 millimeters. And then you have a big lug to lug of around 50 millimeters. It's around 55 millimeters if you measure the male end links, although it doesn't wear like a 55 millimeter. I would say it wears like a 50 millimeter. So this is going to wear large on most wrists, so you have to have a wrist that can handle this. This is also on the thicker side, but really not all that thick considering how complicated it is. It's around 13 millimeters thick, including that sapphire crystal. You have a very large crown because this is the Big Crown. That's what this model is called, the Big Crown. And it is screwed in because you do get 50 meters of water resistance. You get to see the movement from the back, and the movement is quite spectacular. When you take a look at that, it's just beautiful. It's really nicely finished. You know, it's very in line with how Oris finished their in-house movements, but it's just really cool. You have that big, huge barrel on the back. Obviously, you get 10 days of power reserve. It's just very modern, very clean looking. I love this movement. I think it looks fantastic, and I found myself turning the watch over all day long looking at it because it just looks good. And I also really like the bracelet because the bracelet does taper a lot, but it's an eye-link bracelet or an H-link bracelet, whatever you want to call it. But the center links are polished, but they're flat. So you're getting these rounded eyes with these flat center links. It looks really good and very modern as well, but sort of classic at the same time. And there's a little bit of a bevel to each one of them. It looks really good and feels really nice in hand. There's also screwed links. You have a double push button, butterfly clasp. It just feels very nicely made. I wish there was a little bit of on-the-fly micro adjust in the bracelet, because at this price point, I would expect to have a little bit of on-the-fly micro adjust. Hopefully they can do that in the future. I think that this bracelet would look really good and feel really good and fit really good if you had a little bit of on-the-fly micro adjust, so I will say that. On my wrist today, I have a Christopher Ward Sealander Extreme. This is a watch that recently came out from the brand with tons of lume. It's a GMT. It's made to be their extreme tactical watch. It's on a Velcro strap, obviously, because that kind of makes sense with these watches. I think it looks great. And there it is on my 7.5 inch wrist. I moved the hand so that you could see that month hand, which is a large arrow, and then you have fence post hands for the hours and minutes. Those are filled with lume. You have applied indices. Those are white and on the smaller side, but very legible, I would say, against the background. Those are covered with lume, so they are white indices that are covered with lume on the top. We'll do a lume shot, like I said, towards the end. You have the date window that takes the place of part of the index at 6 o'clock, and then you have that day, that window at the, it's the hand stack right above the hand stack. Those have a color match to the background, and they are printed in white to match the indices. So if you are looking for it, you're going to see it. When you are not looking for it, it sort of blends into the dial. It does make this dial extremely clean, a very clean looking dial for a very complicated watch. I really like that. I think this looks fantastic, in my opinion. That's why I was really taken away when I got it in person, and I was like, wow, this is just a beautiful watch. Really, just an impressive watch, especially considering the colors and everything that's going on it. It's, I think, a very aesthetically pleasing watch. There you go. The hands are very liberally applied with lume. Everything else is not as well applied with lume. You do have a running seconds hand at the 9 o'clock. That hand is lume, so you could see that your watch is working in the dark, but you could see that the hands are lasting, the indices are not. So you're going to be able to see the time, and you can see that your watch is working, but it will fade pretty quickly. All of the indices are lumed, and both of the sub-registers, the hours and that power reserve, are lumed. Price on this watch is $8,100, and I honestly think that is a very good price considering the movement that's inside here, how complicated it is, and just how interesting it is as well. 10 days of power reserve. You wind this up 3 times a month. 240 hours of power reserve. That is impressive. It's an impressive watch overall, and right now I think this might be the most complicated watch that they are making. I'm not entirely sure of that, but I believe it is. I have to tell you, it's really a pleasure. It's beautiful. I'm excited to feature it here on my channel. Tell me what you guys think down in the comments below. I know some people will have problems with the color choices here. Obviously, this is the first version. They will come out with other versions. They will be different from this, I would imagine. They're not going to keep on coming out with colorful versions. This was the first version. They wanted to do something a little bit different, I would imagine, and eventually in the future you'll get more tame versions, for lack of a better term. Tell me what you guys think down in the comments below. I want to hear from you guys. I will put a link to this watch down in the description below. Definitely go check it out if you are interested. Definitely check out the Oris website. They've come out with a bunch of new watches, and some are obviously much more affordable than this, and some are, on par with this as well. But there are a lot of watches that they've just recently come out with, so definitely check out their website. That's really it, guys. Thank you for logging on. Thank you for watching this video. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that bell icon. It is super helpful for the channel, and I very much appreciate it. That's really it, guys. Thank you for logging on. I will catch you guys in the next video.